First, I'll say, Joe Kent, thank you for your service, but you are a coward for what you did. It ain't got nothing to do with Israel. I don't even care. I'm not Israeli. I don't care nothing about what you said about Israel. It's the fact that you walked out on your responsibility like a coward.
And we have breaking news. Top counterterrorism official Joe Kent has resigned over President Trump's war with Iran. The director of the National Counterterrorism Center posted on social media saying, quote, Iran posed no imminent threat to the U.S. He also says it's clear we started this war due to pressure from Israel.
But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
He wrote a statement. I didn't waste my time reading that entire statement. I'm just going to say this real quick. I think Joe Kent is a coward. I think he's a coward, and he should be ashamed of himself. He should be honored for his service that he committed to this country, but he's a coward for what he did. And then it had nothing to do with Israel. I think what he said about us fighting a war for Israel is nonsensical. But people have a right to have a stupid opinion if they want to. But the fact that you think you a man, you think you doing something, you think it's honorable that you can say, I'm going to resign because I don't believe in this, but the men and women who serve can't resign. You think you doing something. You're not a leader. You're a coward. You are a coward. It ain't got nothing to do with Israel. I don't care what he said about Israel. Shit, I'm not Israeli. I don't live in Israel. I've been to Israel one time. I don't care. But when you're going against your own country and you grandstanding and acting like, I'm going to resign because I don't agree with the war. Well, a lot of people that died for this country didn't agree with wars that we were in. But they wasn't enough a wussy to punk out in the middle of a war. If you're a real man, you will see it through. I hate wussies. You're a real man, you'll see it through. It ticks me out because I hate when dudes act like they, no, you ain't doing nothing. You let your country down. That's what you did. Because I bet you $1 million there's other people in the administration that may not agree with everything. But they're going to stand up and they're going to fight to the end. That means if I disagree with Donald Trump, I'm going to disagree with him in the position that I'm in to make, to make a difference or something. What a wuss. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like what I'm going to quit. No, you stand in there and you look Donald Trump in the eye and say, this is wrong. Make him fire you. But instead, you punked out like a coward. And all the men and women who may also disagree with the war, they don't get the punk out. They got to stand over there in the barracks. They got to stand over there deployed, away from their family, and they got to fight for this country. Not long ago, I had one of those quiet moments that kind of stopped me in my tracks. Nothing dramatic. Just sitting here with my family, looking around, realizing how much life has changed. The routines, the responsibilities, the people depending on me, and it hit me. I'm building something meaningful, something worth protecting. That feeling is powerful, but it also carries weight. Because once you realize how much you have to lose, protecting it all can feel overwhelming. Thinking about the future, finances, making sure that your loved ones are taken care of if something unexpected happens, that's heavy stuff. And if we're being honest, insurance used to feel like one more headache that I don't want to deal with. That's why I trust Policy Genius. Policy Genius makes the whole process simple and clean. It's an online insurance marketplace where you can compare life insurance quotes from some of America's top insurers side by side for free, no pressure, no guesswork. Their licensed team actually works for you. They help you find the right coverage, answer your questions, and handle the paperwork, and make sure that you're getting a policy that actually fits your life. I've heard from listeners who used Policy Genius and were surprised by how easy it was and how much peace of mind that it gave them. And with thousands of 5-star reviews from Google and Trustpilot, the trust is well earned. With Policy Genius, real users have gotten 20-year, $2 million policies for just $53 a month. Ease the weight of protecting a wonderful life. Head to policygenius.com/Tatum to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/Tatum. Let's play a couple clips. Y'all got me hot today. This is Donald Trump's statement about Kent's resignation. Roll the clip.
Your director of national counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that president should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when they sent Boeing 757s over there, loaded with cash, hundreds of millions of dollars? You would have been very happy. This was a wonderful, they said hundreds of millions. People forget that. Does anybody remember? Right? You remember. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a Boeing 757. I think they had two of them loaded. They took the seats out and they put cash. And it was so much that there wasn't a bank in Virginia, Maryland, or D.C. that had any money left. They stripped them of all their money, put it into place, sent it to Iran, almost as ransom. That's not going to happen with Trump. And nobody ever did anything about it. Nobody ever said anything about it. Can you imagine if I did that? So they've been a threat for a long time. But they've really been a threat. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made, the Iran nuclear deal, you would have had a nuclear war 4 years ago. You would have had nuclear holocaust, and you would have had it again if we didn't bomb the site. So when somebody is working with us that says they didn't think Iran was a threat, we don't want those people, because, and there are some people, I guess I would say that, but they're not smart people or they're not savvy people.
That's a little bit of what Trump had to say. Speaker Johnson, let me say this too. I'm gonna play Speaker Johnson here in a second. When I listen to Donald Trump, it makes sense what he's saying. It's logical. It's cohesive. It makes sense. Yeah, everybody knows that Iran is a threat. Donald Trump has said he was a threat in his first term. Ever since Donald Trump been on the scene, he said Iran is a threat. Every president since Barack Obama, including Barack Obama, says Iran is the threat. Kamala Harris said Iran is the biggest threat. I thought she was going to say China. She said Iran was the biggest threat. So you got every president and every administration for the last 20-some years say Iran is one of the biggest threats or the biggest threat. And then because Donald Trump have enough balls to do something about it, now he's a problem and he's acting for Israel. I don't understand. I don't understand people's obsession with Israel. I don't understand. Why everything got to be about Israel? Donald Trump clearly said that they were a threat for, 10 years now. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, all these other places say that Iran is a threat. They got Hezbollah and all these other terrorist groups that they fund, that we all know they fund. They've killed Americans. What are we saying? Let's go to Speaker Johnson. Roll it.
Senator, he wrote that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. He writes, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nature. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. How do you respond to that and to those other Republicans who say that this war is actually putting foreign interests above domestic interests?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic.
Let me interject real quick. When we did attack Iran, you see what they did? They shot ballistic missiles at all of the military assets that America had in the region. Like, this is them after we hit them. Preemptively, they could have easily done the exact same thing. They have the preparation to strike America and kill Americans at a whim. If they get to a certain point where they become so powerful that nobody in the region can contain them, that's when they begin to get dominant in the region and become dominant in the hemisphere and become a bigger problem to the United States of America. I don't understand how people can't see that. We went over there and we whooping their butt. Give Donald Trump a chance to fulfill the things he said he was going to do. We've been at war for like 3 weeks now. Afghanistan, Iraq, 20 years. And some of y'all crying about 2 weeks. I get it. Everybody has a right to criticize the government. You should criticize the government or you stupid. But at the same time, are you going to blame every president now for something somebody else did? Donald Trump wasn't in office. Why are you still blaming him? He's clearly different than every other president that we've ever had. Let him finish.
Missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so we had to, the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties.
You don't have to believe him. You know, like I said, I'm not in it to say that you got to believe everything the government say. You got to believe everything Mike Johnson say or Donald Trump says. You have to believe them. You don't have to believe them, but be rational and reasonable, and have your mind open to say it could be this or this. But when you say nonsensical things, there's no debating with you. To say that I don't agree with the Iranian war, that's fair. I don't want to get into another endless war. That's fair. I don't think it's in America's best interest to do this. That's fair. But when you say we're doing it because of Israel, then that's when it's like, really? You reduce this entire war and all the things that's been said by all the professionals that we trusted and we elected. You don't mention no other part of it. You don't mention any other oil. You don't mention any of the region's control of the canal, whatever they call it, not the canal, but the waterways, our leverage over China and Russia. You don't mention none of that. Like, it's not even a part of your conversation. It's just Israel. That's when it gets weird. Anyway, let's go on Fox News real quick and roll it.
Aisha Hasni reporting that on background to a senior administration official says that Joe Kent was cut out of POTUS intelligence briefings months ago due to allegations of suspected leaks and that he has not been a part of any Iran planning discussions or briefings at all, which sort of posed the disconnect addressed earlier this morning by the administration, saying that he wasn't privy to the classified information that indeed underscores and provides the evidence that Iran was nuclear empowered or about to be. And final quick point that I've referenced Joe Kent's testimony on the Hill many times in 2025 of the 18,000 known terrorists that came through the southern border under the Biden administration's watch.
All right, I want to change up our order of videos real quick because I want to get to the liberals celebrating and gloating that he quit, and some of these dumb, retarded Republicans, them gloating and being stupid as well. And then we'll get to, but first, before we get to any of that, I want to jump straight to Joe Kent's tweet. I want to jump to his tweet from 2024. And these things are just, think about it. He says Iran has been after Trump since January of 2020 after he ordered the targeting killing of terrorist Qasem Soleimani. This isn't a new threat. The Secret Service consistently failing to secure Trump is new. We need to figure out exactly why these failures keep happening. So, what do you mean that Iran has been after Donald Trump since 2020? What does that mean? Think about this for a minute. If a country is after our president, that is a threat to America. What are you saying? Now, I guess a counter argument would be because we killed Soleimani and he didn't deserve to die, I guess. Whose side are you on then? Whose side are you on? If our country decides to take a military action and kill Qasem Soleimani, which did not lead to a war, which all the cowards out there, both on the right and the left, swear to God we're going to get into a war. And I'm talking about an imminent world war. That's what they said we were going to do. All right, let's get to another clip. Joe Kent, 2024 411. Now, this clip isn't necessarily a complete contradiction, but I do think it's telling of the mindset of this weirdo. And I got to give respect for him because he served the country. I give him respect there. But I feel like these people are weird to me. Listen to what he had to say.
We left our troops in these vulnerable locations, like on the Jordanian, Syrian, and Iraqi border. Our troops have been attacked, we think, at least 150 times since the October 7th incident began. And so we've seen this coming. This was an inevitable conclusion. So by leaving our troops in these locations, undefended essentially, we left them there as bait because so many people in Washington, D.C. want to go to war with Iran. There's no other logical conclusion other than the fact that we have left them there as bait to be killed by Iranians at the time and place of their choosing so that we can continue to escalate.
First of all, he's on Tucker Carlson's show. That should tell you everything you need to know because Tucker won't interview anybody unless they hate Israel. But think about what he said. He tried to frame it as if we're intentionally leaving our troops somewhere. That's like saying that some man is intentionally letting this 6-year-old wear yoga pants to bait predators into sexually assaulting them. Well, let's keep it real. Your 6-year-old can wear whatever they want unless you got predators in the area. And when I say predators in the area, they are a threat. That is a threat. Because in a normal environment, your kid can wear what they want to wear. Because the average person ain't trying to hurt them. But the existence of predators is, in my opinion, is considered a threat. That is a threat. Like, for instance, predators against children are always a threat. And they're going to attack your kids whether or not they're in a position or not. Because that's by nature of what they do, they are predators. You shouldn't have to go the rest of your life trying to hide your kids from these people who trying to attack them. That shouldn't be a mission because nobody else is trying to attack your kids but these predators. It's the same thing with American troops, American interests, and people in the Middle East. If they weren't a threat to start with, it shouldn't matter where our troops are located. It shouldn't matter about any of that. Because Israel or none of these other countries in the Middle East are trying to attack our troops and do any of this. None of them. Who else is doing this but Iran? And this guy knows that Iran is essentially had the capability and the desire to attack us. You claim it's bait. We should be able to put our troops anywhere, anytime without getting attacked. They are a threat. You tweeted that they want to hurt Donald Trump since 2020. All right, I want to go to Caroline Levitt, 406. It's probably way too much to read, but she said there's a lot of false claims in this. President Trump has been clear and explicitly stated that he has strong and compelling evidence that Iran was going to attack the United States first. The evidence was compiled from many sources and factors. President Trump would never make the decision to deploy military assets against a foreign adversary in a vacuum. Iran is the world's leader, state sponsor of terrorism. The Iran regime is evil. It proudly kills Americans, wages war against our country, and openly threatens us all, or threaten us all the way up to launching Operation Epic Fury. And you go down the list, Caroline Levy debunks a lot of the sentiment that was expressed in Joe Kent's statement. And I'm going to finish it with this. It's too much to read. Y'all can freeze this frame if you want to and read it for yourself. But she essentially laid out a very strong, compelling argument that what Joe Kent said was wrong. And I'm going to finish it with this because we can go down. Ben Shapiro had something to say, but I ain't got time to play everybody's clips. But I don't think it's an issue to criticize Israel. I don't think it's an issue to criticize our government. But the funny thing is, if you ever notice the people that are criticizing Israel, they're always nutty, whack job conspiracy theorists that go clean off a cliff. I think it's fair to say, what effect or what impact does AIPAC have in America as an American lobbying organization? They don't have to be registered as FARA, and they don't have to have nothing to do with Israel directly. But we want to know, do they have a negative impact in politics in America, and it is unjustified and illegal? If that's the case, everybody should be asking that question. But when you get the answer to the question, you got to be receptive to receive it and not think that everything has to be wrong because it's Israel involved or it's related to Israel. It has to be something nefarious. When AIPAC is not even our biggest lobbying organization in America, not even close. They don't even scratch the surface of lobbying. But yet, what do people do? They just make it about Israel.